Welcome back, everyone. No long intro today. I promised that I would go over how you can make an alternative backing for a light box. So we're going to combine a lot of the things that we learned from our previous videos into this video. So this looks familiar from my make my sign video. So we're actually just going to take, we'll just take this. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut the top lip of this off. So I'm just going to click on this and go to our cut tool, or hit the C key, and I don't need the top part, so we'll just uncheck that, and then we'll just perform the cut. We really just need the shape. Alright, so initial shape is set. Good. Alright, now I need the overall Z height shape, so we're just going to extend this out. So we'll go to scale with the S key, and we will set this, we'll turn off uniform scale. We'll set this to 20 millimeters. You can always make adjustments depending on what you need. Alright, so that part is fine. Now in cases like this, you'll probably need clones or duplicates, and especially helpful if you are just playing around. So I'm going to clone this, so we'll just do a simple right click and clone, and we'll make some different colors just so we can keep them separate. So we will give this one a gray color for now. Good. And I want to flatten this down a bit, so we will take this from 20, let's knock this down to 2. Alright, so that's good. And I'm actually going to make another clone, so we'll clone this again of this gray piece. And I'm just going to move this off to the side for right now. And we're going to center this, so we'll center one. We'll center the other, and I'll make one a different color so you can see that. And I'm actually going to shrink this down just a little bit. So we'll go into our scale tool, and I will make this, I will do 95. And again, we can adjust these accordingly. So 95, 95. Good. And from here, I'm actually going to make the Z height for that one piece. We're going to make this, since this is 20, let's make, we'll do 18. Alright, so that part's good. Alright, so we're going to merge these. It was called assemble, so we're just going to highlight both of these, right click, and merge. So now they're together. And I'm going to take it one step further. I want these to be the same part. So from previous videos, these guys are separate, but I want to combine them, so we're going to mesh boolean. So right click and mesh boolean. Now they're all one piece, or this assembly here. Alright, so what we're going to do here, since this is now centered, this is now centered, well, I'm just going to right click and center this. But before we do that, I want to make one more clone. And again, you're going to be playing around with this until it makes sense, but for right now, we're going to do this. Alright, so we need to right click, center the white part over the black part, and we will combine both of these. So we will right click and merge. So now that assembly, both of these are together. And we will take this black piece, this piece, I want to make that a negative. So we will right click on that, and we will change the type into a negative part. Perfect. And then from there, I'm just going to right click, and we're going to mesh boolean. So what that will do is it'll basically do a permanent change. It'll take out that one negative part, a chunk out of the main piece. So we'll mesh boolean. All right. Now it looks like nothing happened. I'm going to flip this over so you can see exactly what just happened. So I'm just going to flip on the side. Of course, it's making a liar out of me in that it didn't take the piece out. So we're going to go back a few steps. So back, back, and let's just double check. So this piece is negative there. And sometimes if you have problems, you can just try to flip this. So let's do it the other way. So we'll go here, flip that around, And since we ran into the error, we're going to do the alternative way of doing a mesh boolean. So let's take that out. We will make this a part again. So right click, change the type, back to a part. All right, and what we're going to do is click on the whole model. We will go to mesh boolean, difference, and we want the main part. And then we're going to subtract this part. Now it's up to you if you actually want to keep the part or not. So if you hit delete input, it'll actually get rid of this black part. It's up to you. Since I made a clone, it doesn't really matter. So we're just going to hit the difference, and then it basically cut that part out, which is good. And remember, we still have this part here. And what I'm going to do here, if you decide to keep that one part, you wouldn't need this. I'm just going to cut this. So we will then go into our cut tool. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring all of this down until I get just a sliver, so it can show, of the bottom part and part of this top part. And we don't need the top, so we'll just perform the cut. So I just wanted to have just a small lip, so that way it's going to be form-fitting when it connects to this part. All right, so the hard part is done. Now what you're going to do is pick shape. So let's do, we all like our thumbs up, so we'll just pick this. And we'll bring this over. All right, and we'll make this a different color. Sorry about all the blacks and whites. Let's, I don't know, make it blue or something. All right, make it a little easier to see. All right, so if you grab these shapes from Maker World, just keep in mind that they're in parts. So one thing that I would recommend that you would do is essentially use Mesh Boolean to combine them into one part. So we'll just right-click on this, Mesh Boolean, and then it will just combine it all into one. All right, and we will enlarge this. So let's just start centering this. So center here, and we will center here. Good. And you could make any adjustments that you like. All right, so we're going to combine these. So we're just going to hold Shift, select everything, right-click, and merge. And now that we have a new technique with modifier, we're just going to change this into a modifier. So the blue part of that thumbs up, we're going to right-click, change the type, and we will change that to a modifier. And from what we learned from our previous video, if we go into the strength settings, we can make adjustments just for this. Now, since this will be a light box and we don't need it to have any other, top shells and things like that. So the top shell would be the one that's facing up. We're going to knock this down to 0. We can keep the 3 bottom shells, that's fine. And we do not need an infill either. So I'm going to set that to 0. And then we'll slice this plate, see how it looks. All right, that looks good. So as a quick recap, this entire piece is 20 millimeters. We just cut out 18 millimeters. So there's about 2 millimeters that's basically going to accommodate this little thumbs up. The modifier will only affect things that touch the model. So anything above this will not get printed. So it's only counting this and the parts touching this. Actually, let me slice that again. And I'm actually going to print this in black and white. All right, so we'll print it, see how it looks on the other side. Now, actually, before I even say that, we could probably print them both at the same time, since they are small enough. And I know I was moving quickly, but I'm just changing the colors. And I want to make one other adjustment to the back here, and that is to create sort of like an access hole, since the LED light strip I have has a cord. So we're going to right click on this, add a negative part, and I'm just going to do a cylinder, but you can add whichever shape you want. And we will take this, I'm actually going to shrink it down just a smidge. Also keep in mind, when you do that, every so often it may not actually penetrate your model, so just make sure that you bring it down if you need to. And then we'll do a quick slice just to see how it looks. All right, that is perfect. All right, let's keep this simple. So here is our test piece. Here's our back. And you can see its fit. Cool. Not going anywhere. And this is just something I picked up from Amazon. All right, so there's a few rules of thumb when you are creating a light box. You can either line the outer part, the inner part. I'm actually going to line the back. And the reason being is we're going to make this interchangeable. All right, I know I'm not going to win any awards with how I just made that, but it is late, so I will not drag this video out too much longer. All right, so now let's see how it looks. Let's cut the lights. Hopefully that shows up on camera. So not bad. And of course I did mention I was going to make this interchangeable. So if you have any questions, please leave them down below. And as always, thanks for watching. All right, so I felt a little bad about saying something like I'm going to make this interchangeable, but not explain what that means. All right, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to take the base. So the back is interchangeable. The base portion is interchangeable, but we can make adjustments to it. So I'm just going to right click and we will clone this. And from this side, I can actually just delete the image. Now you already saw how to add an image, no big deal. And I'm going to show you how to add text. So we're going to flip this around. And we will then go into our text shape or the T key. Type in whatever you like. All right. And we'll plop this down. And you can make this as large or small as you want. I'll make this 25. And Of course, you can make it whatever font shows up. And we don't have to do anything about the thickness or anything like that just yet. All right, so that part's good. And then we're going to add one more. And we'll do and that also was 25. Plop this down. And use the same font. Alright, so what I like to do in this case is to right click, and then we will split this into objects. So this will basically make all of those words and letters plop to the bottom. And here we're going to make some adjustments. So I'm going to do the right click center, and we'll go use the arrow keys just to go up, and then we'll do right click center, and that seems a little too close, so go down one. Perfect. I have no idea why I made that in uppercase, but we're going to roll with it. Okay, so we're going to select all of this. So hold down the shift key, select them both. We will then right click and merge. And I don't want these two to be separate, so we're going to right click, and then we will mesh boolean. So everything is all one assembly. And you can label these, but we're just going to power through. And what we're going to do here is, so we can now adjust these all as one, we're going to flip this because I want this facing the build plate. So we will click on this once. We will then go into our, let's do the rotate key, the R key, and we're going to flip this 180 degrees so it's flipped around. And just because we're going to combine it onto this, I want to see the color. We're just going to make it blue right now. Cool. Now this guy, I want to flip back around so we can just lay on face. Let's make sure this is centered. So right click, center, right click, center. Make sure that looks good. Perfect. I'm going to hold down shift, select both. And then we will merge. All right, and we're going to do the same thing we did before, but in this case we actually have to make sure either that this is moved up, but if we make the actual text part a modifier, it will move down. So we will right click, change the type, and we will make this a modifier. And we'll do the same thing we did before. We're going to change the strength. So we're going to take out the top shells. We want 3 bottom layers at least, and we don't need any infill. So we'll make that 0. And when we do a slice plate, we've effectively given ourselves an easy way to basically switch out your light box just by changing text or images, and you can use the same backing.